Welcome back. I'm literally filming 40 seconds after I quit the last one, but it got dark outside while we were chatting. All right. Everyman, this is our reading this week. And I just want to give you a little context, a little background, and a little bit on why I'm excited about this piece. Early British literature is a huge section of scholarship. So if you want to know more about this quite famous piece, Everyman, there's a lot of material out there. I might link some for you below, or we can talk about it more later in the semester, depending on how you feel. Get excited. So, how is information communicated? Not everybody spoke Latin. Not everybody could read. And by everybody, I mean most people couldn't do either of those things. So, how? You talk about stuff. You see stuff, you listen to stuff. Plays and dramas were used by the church to get messages across with a spoonful of sugar because it's entertainment for the masses. So, as we're reading this piece, it is a great morality play. That was the genre of play that this falls into, and they were very popular at the time. A messenger opens, gets your attention, and announces the purpose of the play, just so it's not a mystery. We are always on a journey, walking towards our own graves, just to lighten the mood. God is a character, criticizes mankind for not serving him properly and not fearing the day of judgment like they should. Death is God's messenger. So those who love wealth and worldly goods are doomed to hell. Those good deeds, alms, can save a sinner from damnation. Every man is one of these first kind of guys. Like, what's going to happen? Death tells him it's time, but anyone can come with him who's brave enough. So we get to meet fellowship, kindred, cousin. Who do these three characters represent? Well, it's kind of written on the tin. How long do they stay with you? Like, as fast. Next, we got goods. Represents every man loves goods, but goods mocks him and says, if you love me, you can't love God. How about good deeds? Think about what she's like. At the beginning, we're told that she's our ticket to heaven. What's wrong here for every man? What's wrong with her? So look for her in there. I suggest while you're reading this, sort of highlight or circle or underline each of these characters as they show up. If you want to get hot and fancy and like color code in your PDF editor, cool, or print it out and use pencils. Check out when each of these characters enters stage and when they leave. So you can kind of see who hangs in there the shortest and who hangs in there the longest. Then you've got her sister, Good Deed's sister, Knowledge. And that means more acknowledgement. So she's leading him to confession, to, acknowledge what you've done, not necessarily, knowing stuff like facts or trivia. Confession, give him some advice to show penance. He scourges himself, which, literally means like whipping your own back with a whip, or otherwise like basically giving yourself a spanking to demonstrate that you're really sorry in some form of mild to moderate self-harm. More friends. We've got discretion, strength, beauty, the five wits. They say they'll come along till the very end too. We then have things like the Holy Sacrament come in as like events. And as he begins to die, you see everybody cutting out, right? So beauty, strength, discretion, five wits, one after another. Good deeds stays. I know I am spoiling the crap out of this, but you've got to sort of be careful while reading it because it's delightful in how heavily handedly obvious. The point is, because that's the point of a morality play, is to leave nothing up to the imagination. Like we have a clear objective to get everybody to understand this message. So we're going to do it as obviously as possible. So we've got finally then an angel and a doctor who come into the scene. This is an allegory. So each character is deliberately one-dimensional and they represent one idea. These are probably perhaps a little bit confusing or shocking for you because culturally now you are very much used to character-driven stories. So you are used to having the bad guy, we get to see a moment where like, oh, but he loves his mother. And, you know, the good guy, like, oh, but he did murder a few people that one time. People are complicated. Morality is complicated. That's not the message here. That's not the message at all. So this is a great sort of very easy message that's getting brought across. As you read it, think about, imagine how it would look. It would have been a low budget piece. It would have been a low budget piece. All of the actors would have been male and they would have been standing usually in front of the cathedral or up on the steps of the cathedral because this is sort of a church sanctioned entertainment message of the week thing. And these had to have been an exciting event for the week. You know, it's one of those things that I love this piece. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but I just want you to go into it kind of excited to see something really strange and different. These were incredibly popular during medieval times, these morality plays. Everyman seems like it was a hoot. And the general message of being wealthy, having a really good time right now, being possibly the worst thing you could do for your everlasting soul, you can see why that would be popular with the masses, with most of the people, because if you lived in a really horrible poverty with diseases that you didn't understand, you know, there's economic hardships, there's droughts, there's failed crops, children die, you live in, you know, a mud shack. I mean, maybe not, but basically, yes. So there's a lot of hardships. And to go, if the meaning of life, like if this is fun, so sort of moving the goalpost for when the good time's going to be, and making the poor, making the masses, sort of the best amongst them, I think was a hopeful message that most people really, really could get behind because it gave some hope to their life, even if their life was a place where you might question why it sucks so bad, you know, the trials of Job and all that. If you also think about it, like this is quite revolutionary as well, because honestly, we try to, for most of history, keep the power center with the wealthy few. And so you sort of look up to them and they're the ultimate authority and the ultimate power. They have control over your life. But then a morality play like this starts to say, no, the people who are wealthy and really love their coin are the ones that are never destined for heaven. That shifts the power a bit. It shifts the power away from that sort of wealthy center. And so that's quite a shift. That's actually really edgy of the church to be moving this kind of message, because while it gives hope to your sort of mass constituency, it also subversively shakes up that power structure a bit in like what could have been seen as a dangerous way by the lords and the kings. So this is a really edgy piece. It was meant for sort of popular entertainment. If you led a dark and poor life, but you came to town once a week on Sundays, you went to church, you live in a dark little house and you come in and watch the documentary and just think about being the person who lives in darkness and hardship. And then that one day a week, you walk into a Gothic cathedral that is just made of light and air, and it makes you feel small. I mean, they make us feel small now, and we build skyscrapers. Um, I lived in an apartment on the 17th floor in Boston. It doesn't mean that when I walk into a cathedral, I don't still feel totally in awe that it's something that we as humanity are capable of. So put yourself kind of in the shoes of the person who would have come to town, seen distant neighbors, done a little bit of business, gone to church, felt like amazing, beautiful, heaven-like experience. Like you're touching a magical other place by attending church in a Gothic cathedral. It's certainly not like reality. It's not like life. It's something more special. And so then imagine after church, you're milling around outside, the play Everyman happens. Read it, get an idea on when these characters come in, go out, what that's meant to represent, what that means, and try to put yourself in the place of watching this in that context, in that situation, and what this would really mean, what this would mean to you. And think about why these were so incredibly popular. So, right, the reading will be in the folder, the documentary's in the folder. I'm really excited to be able to introduce one of my favorite periods as the first one, first unit in this course. So have a great week, guys. I'll see you in discussion boards.